What is happening? Moola, Jason Shapper here. Day 5 already. Can you believe it? Of the 14-day Moola challenge as we're working to make 2025 your best financial year yet. And I say yet because even greater things to come on top of that. How's everybody doing tonight? It is a Friday night. There's plenty of things you can be out there doing, but you're hanging out here watching us live. So thankful for everybody for popping in here who watched the video this morning. We've been kind of teeing everything up. The first few days, we've been spending a lot of time really talking about this mindset of building this financial muscle is how we have to really look at it. This millionaire mindset, this abundance mindset that we're really pursuing. And that's what we've been after with that. Hey, Anna, great to see you. And that's what we've been after. We've been getting the reps in at the gym, right, Anna? Just working on the mindset to help us think bigger, to help us believe in ourselves. And I know some of you out there need to hear that how important it is to truly believe in yourself, believe that the goal you are pursuing is possible, and we're going to create the plan to get there. But as I alluded to in some of the earlier live streams, again, we're live streaming each night for the next next 9 nights, right? Live streaming at 8 o'clock every single night as we break this down further. It is so crucial, and many of you know this. I come from an aviation background like Anna as well. And Anna will tell you that in aviation, yes, it is very important to know where you're going. But it's even more important to know where you really are. And that's the mistake we make in our financial journey. We all know where we want to go. We want to get to retirement. We want to move into this neighborhood. We want to retire to Florida. We want to do whatever it is. Like we have these goals. Hey, Valerie, we have these goals. This is where I want to be. However, we lie to ourselves about where we're really at on the map. And that's why it is so important to make sure we're telling ourselves the truth about where we are. Because how can we create this future that we desire if we're fibbing to ourselves, if we're lying to ourselves about where we are? Now, like all good plans, and you all know this, I use a lot of airplane analogies. Like all good plans, well, sometimes we have to deviate left and right. Who's ever had some deviations in their life, in their personal life, in their financial journeys, in their business life? We all have to make those deviations. And it's how well you make those adjustments that really works to determine the success. It's not about working harder. It's not about trying to plow through that wall. It's about working smarter and building the ladder or the way around that wall is what it really comes down to. So we're mapping out in this 14-day Moola challenge, really mapping out where are we, building the mindset, and then getting into the tools. And that's what I'll be really sharing with you all. I'm just so excited to be here and be sharing that with you all. Let's just recap real quick, then we'll get into the actual content side of this. So first off, we talked about day 1, we talked about this millionaire mindset, this abundance mindset, because wealth starts in the mind. Let me give you a G. All of us here have a thermostat in our house. Now, for some of you, if you're in Florida, the air conditioning's on right now. If you're north of Florida, the heat's probably on right now. And if you're like my wife, even in Florida, she would have the heat on because she's just always freezing cold. She grew up in Europe, and air conditioning wasn't like a thing. They opened the windows. So this is a big adjustment. This is why I wear, a hoodie oftentimes too. I keep my side cold and she doesn't like that one bit. But anyways, getting into all of that, we have this thermostat. And many of you have put let's say your financial, your performance thermostat, let's say you set it to, 78. Now, how does the thermostat work? Things start to heat up. In your case, things start to get good. We start making more money. We finally got that promotion. We start getting that job. We finally got through that training. We finally got some of that debt paid off. But then that thermostat hits 78, and what happens? The AC kicks on, and it cools down. Who's ever had that situation? Things just start getting good, And then all of a sudden, you kind of maybe even self-sabotage. I have been there. You kind of self-sabotage, taking on too much debt, you made some poor decisions, whatever, and it kind of cools you off a little bit. And the opposite is true. Everybody's been in this situation where it starts getting real cold. You wonder how the bills are going to get paid this month. You feel like you're, Mike Tyson up against the ropes in the corner, and all of a sudden the heat kicks on, and guess what? What happens? You're scrappy and you find a way to figure it out. Like we talked about in day 2 or day 3, I don't care. Find the side gig. Nothing is beneath you. Nothing is beneath you. I don't care if you drive for Uber Eats. All I care is that you hustle and get it done. Now, that's still trading time for money, and I hope that's just temporary. We have to work smarter, but I also realize that in the short term, we got bills to pay. We got things to do. And that's why we're going to really talk about today is I want to really expose the truth about your credit cards and your credit card interest. Now, if you watched yesterday, we talked about debt. And I want to be very clear, I am not anti-debt. We have a mortgage on our home. We have a mortgage on our rental property that we have. And we're cash flow positive on that, by the way. I'm not anti-debt. Some, like Dave Ramsey, I respect him greatly, but he is like cash only use debit cards. I get that, but that is also very hard to create progress in that way as well. If you're looking to create that true financial freedom, abundance, and wealth for generations is what we're pursuing. And that, right, we talk about what is wealth. Wealth is different for everybody. Wealth for us is when Ella, our 10-year-old, comes to me and says, Dad, will you play Barbies with me? I can stop what I'm doing and go play Barbies with her. It's a silly analogy, but it literally happened today. Or, Dad, I need help with my homework. It's not, hey, I've got 12 meetings, I can't talk. You won't see me till dinner time. And even at dinner time, I'm firing off emails. I don't want that, right? Wealth for me is creating the lifestyle that allows me to have the freedom that I want. Now, right now, we're in a busier season of life, and those seasons come and go and everything else, but it's all about making those adaptations. So we talked about debt. I don't like credit card debt. I'm not the biggest fan of auto loans. Go watch yesterday's live stream if you want to get deeper on it. I'm okay with mortgages, assuming they meet some criteria. I'm okay with mortgages on an investment property, assuming they meet certain criteria. I won't get into all that criteria here. That was yesterday. Go back and check that out. You can see that day 4. Go watch that live stream. It's very, very quick. Go watch that live stream. But before we do that, I felt compelled to expand on the topic from yesterday, which is credit card interest. Most of us understand compound interest, right? Einstein said it was the 8th wonder of the world or whatever. I don't know how many wonders there are anymore, but it's an amazing find, compound interest. However, the problem is for most of us, compound interest is working against us. I gave the analogy of a mortgage yesterday. Someone could have let's say you have a $300,000 mortgage, right? And unfortunately, you picked it up at a 7 or 8% interest rate. Well, because of compound interest and because of how it works and how an amortization schedule works, all that interest is front loaded. So you could be making your minimum monthly mortgage payment, I don't know, $2,000 a month, let's say, and you have been faithfully paying $2,000 a month for the past 3 years. And then someone comes to you and says, hey, Jason, you should refinance. Rates are better now. They're at 5%. You go, okay, this is great. I'm going to refinance. You think, gosh, I've been paying this for 3 years. I've been really chipping away at this. And on your $300,000 mortgage, when you go to refinance, you realize you still owe $295,000. You go, how did I only pay off $5,000 in 3 years towards principal? Well, it's because of your $2,000 minimum payment, about $1,800 of it went towards interest, and about $200 went towards principal. That is how it works. Interest is front loaded. And the credit card companies, I'm leaving mortgages, I'm going to credit cards now. The credit card companies love this level of confusion. Now, I want to give some examples. And let me actually screen share here real quick. Let me see if I got my phone up. I can, let me pull up my phone real quick here. I'm going to mirror my phone. Give me just 1 second. Let's do something here. Let me screen share. You guys should be able to see my screen. Let's screen share here. This is calculator.net. Everyone's been on here. Yes, my phone's at 20%. That is very unlike me. I apologize. Now, the problem is we're talking about credit card debt, and most people assume they just have one credit card, right? All these calculators assume you have one credit card, but that's not true. Most of you have many credit cards. So let's just look at this. Let's just say here, okay, the average credit card balance, by the way, is $5,500. So let's just say we're average on this credit card. 28.99% interest, unfortunately, is a very, very true interest rate, and $100 is probably a realistic minimum payment. But we have a second card. This one we've been a little bit better on. We'll leave it at $3,990, but you know interest isn't 19%. It's more like 27.99%. And then, of course, we have a third card. This is the one that we always go to Saks on and gets us in trouble. We're at $8,000. Sorry, $8,000 on this card. And this one, because it's a Saks card, I'm sure, it's a whopping 29.99%. If you think that's an unrealistic interest rate, I'd encourage you to go look at the interest rates you're currently paying. So we look at all these. $100 minimum payment, 90 here, 120 here. Let's say we have $500 extra. Now, again, you don't need to put this in the chat, but who could come up with an extra $500 a month? Could you? Question for another day. We'll get to that. $500. So we'll just divide this evenly. Yes, this minimum's 100, this minimum's 90, this is 120. So we're going to meet, quick math, right? We're going to meet our minimums, and we're going to be able to pay about $200, $250 extra because of this budget. So we are chipping away at it even a little bit faster. So this is actually a pretty standard scenario. Here we are making $50 above each minimum payment, essentially, year after year. But here is where this situation really changes. We are not charging any more on these cards. And that, unfortunately, isn't realistic. Not many people can truly go cut up their credit cards and put them on ice and just chip away at the debt. I wish we could, but not everybody has the self-control and the self-discipline to make that happen. And that's where we get ourselves in trouble. I'm going to run this scenario assuming you throw these things in a block of ice in the freezer, never to be used again. But in reality, most people are paying the minimum payment, maybe a little bit more, and yet they continue to charge on the card. That's a more realistic situation. But let's just work through this one for now. Let me show it to you again here. We'll go all the way down. Let's just calculate this real quick. This is a little bit small, so I apologize if you can't see everything. I'll read it to you. You can pay off your credit cards in 6 years and 6 months. This is minimum payment plus some, not charging anymore. All right, so you need $500 every single month. Shows you how you're going to divide it up. You're going to pay back a total of almost $40,000, $38,513.91, where half is interest. Time out. I just showed you the interest was 27%, 29%, 28%. How do I end up paying half of the value in interest of what I bought? That coat you bought at Saks for $500, it really costs you $1,000 because you end up paying half that value back in interest. Half of what your payments go to interest. It's double. Basically, everything you spend is doubled. How does that happen when my interest rate is only 25%? That is how compound interest works. Now, you can use compound interest for your benefit, by the way, in your investing accounts, in your retirement accounts. Show of hands, who has a retirement account? 401k, IRA, preferably you have both. Magda and I have both set up. And I'm telling you, you have to. Let your employer hopefully match with a 401k. And then you, whether you're employed, self-employed, your employer doesn't offer a 401k, you're a gig worker, a contractor, you can at least set up an IRA, an individual retirement account. I'm going to show you some great ones next week as well to really set up. So you can look into that. Your future self will thank you for this. If you are not thinking about retirement, you see, it's not about, everyone's waiting for the perfect time. I'm waiting for the recession. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for the economy to turn down. I'm waiting for the stock to come down. Stop trying to time the market because it's really about time in the market. You see, the $500 in this example, you are religiously giving to the credit card companies. If you were also religiously giving that to your investing account, the S&P 500 annualizes, we talk about this every single day, I feel like, 8% year after year. Good years, bad years, everything all averaged out, ends up around 8 and some change percentage. It's not 25% like your credit card companies are making, I get it. But those who tell you the stock market is gambling, the stock market is risky, I am telling you, they may have gotten burned. There's bad years, there's good years, but the average is the average over the past. You can go back as far as you want. And actually, the further back you go, the better that percentage gets. I just went back 30 years to pull at 8%. You have to look at it that way. This is a long-term game. Just like this credit card interest can become a long-term game of you making Bank of America and American Express and, of course, Visa and MasterCard, the processors, very, very wealthy. There's a reason there's Bank of America Stadium, right? They do very, very well off of people who don't understand compound interest. Warren Buffett, I believe it is. Yes, it's Warren Buffett who's famous for saying compound interest. Those who don't understand it, pay it, right? And those who understand it, receive it. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But it truly shows the power. I'm telling you, Moola, if you have credit, and again, by the way, I have credit cards. I am not Mr. Anti-Credit Card. I have an American Express, and this is not a plug for either of these credit cards, by the way. I have an American Express Platinum card that I use for the business. And I also have a MasterCard through Barclays I use because still in this world, not everybody accepts American Express. Those are the two I have. Well, American Express is actually a charge card technically, so there's no opportunity to carry it over to the next month. I like that, by the way. That forces some self-discipline. I have to pay it off every single month. And I use that to run the business. And the Barclays card is the same thing. It's a MasterCard. And I do it exactly the same way. The problem is, I saw Dave Ramsey did an interview. Tucker Carlson interviewed Dave Ramsey. He said, listen, Dave, what is really wrong with credit cards? Because Dave Ramsey is anti-credit cards, just use a debit card. He said, what's wrong with credit cards if you pay them off every single month and get the reward points? That's what I do. It sounded like in the interview, that's what Tucker Carlson does. And Dave Ramsey said, the problem with that is most people don't do it. It's a great idea. And if you can do that, great. Even the self-discipline, great. But he said most people can't do that or won't do that. You know, I personally use credit cards because I enjoy the reward points, especially all the travel we do and everything else. It makes things much, much easier. But I understand, you know, I can appreciate some of what Dave Ramsey shares from that perspective as well. So as I get ready to kind of wrap up here, again, my goal is to make these kind of quick to the point for you all because we're live every single day, plus a video in the morning. It's a lot of content for you all to consume and really think about. I want you to really think about your current credit card situation. And I want to go back to where this webinar started. Where are you really at on the map? If you hopped on late, I talked about how everybody knows where they want to go on the map, on their financial goals, right? But most lie about where they really are on that map. And that's a mistake we can't afford to make. As we wrap up, I want you to think about, and it may hurt a little bit, where are you really at right now? If you are just trying to balance credit cards and doing literally balance transfers, oh, this one's 0% for now, and I can move this here, like you're doing yourself a big, big disservice, I'm telling you. I would strongly, strongly encourage you, take a real hard look at it. And then as I taught yesterday, I like what's called the debt snowball approach, which says take your smallest debt and pay it off aggressively, Why your smallest debt? Because as humans, we love the psychology of a win. No one likes losing. We like winning. Go get a small, easy win. Give yourself the golf clap, the pat on the back, move on to the next biggest debt. It's easy to say, I'm going to tackle the biggest one first. That's called the debt avalanche approach, and that can work too. But boy, that takes a lot of self-discipline in there as well. And that can be hard to chip away at and see progress quickly. I like the debt snowball because it causes you to see progress quickly. And that's really what I want you all to focus on. So listen, as you get ready to fall asleep tonight, whatever that is, I want you thinking about, where am I really on this map? And by the way, where do you want to go? What is wealth to you? What are you pursuing? What are you doing this for? Who are you doing this for? You can be doing it for you. That's totally okay. You can be doing it for generations. Who are you doing this for as well? I want you to fall asleep thinking about that. Hey, we'll be back live again tomorrow. So tomorrow, I know it's a Saturday night, but come hang out. 8 p.m. Eastern time. You'll see we'll start now diving into the actual tactics. We're going to start, as we're doing here, kind of getting our hands dirty, learning the facts, learning how to tackle this, because the goal of the 14-day Moola challenge is, first off, don't miss a day, because the ultimate goal, where this map is going, is to make 2025 your best financial year yet. That is our goal. That is our vision. Again, so you don't miss tomorrow, be sure to like, subscribe, follow YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're streaming on all 4 right now. So wherever you are watching, do that. Have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your night, everybody. I'll see you.